The 1998 movie Ringu is a Japanese horror film that sought to innovate the basic conventions of a horror movie through its unique plot. A reporter named Reiko Asakawa investigates the mysterious death of 4 local teenagers who are said to have watched a mysterious tape together, one of whom being her niece Tomoko. They say the phone rings after you watch it and then you only have 7 days to live. Reiko delves further into the story and discovers the tape at a cabin the teens went to and began to uncover the mystery of the tape. Ringu is an incredible horror film for its intentional use of sound and lighting and was successful enough to even be remade in the United States in the 2002 version called The Ring. The remake would hold true to the plot and characters, but many would still continue to debate as to which film did it better. Today I'm going to discuss the scene in which their son watches the tape and they realize he's going to die. Hopefully, through analyzing each of these films individually and then comparing them, I'll be able to show you why Ringu is a superior movie. The sequence of Ringu shows horror conventions in their most basic form by removing lots of lighting and centering the camera around Asakawa, isolating and amplifying the terror of these supernatural events. However, the true horror of Ringu lies in the power of sound and its effect on the audience, placing the viewer in Asakawa's shoes with its abrupt and ominous nature, reflecting the supernatural events that seem to occur. Ringu uses sound with incredible intention, only using it to build tension in key moments or reflect the supernatural and horror aspects of the film. The soft TV static serves as both natural ambient noise as well as foreshadowing the fate of Yoichi, who we find to be watching the tape. Yoichi laughs eerily in the night, waking up Asakawa and setting the creepy tone to accompany the following supernatural event. Tension is heavily built by the omission of sound through most of the beginning of the scene as well. The lack of music to address the creepy laughter creates an uneasy feeling in the audience, as Asakawa herself does not hear it and the audience worries for her safety. Higher-pitched music begins abruptly as Asakawa has a vision which is intended to startle the audience, but it fades quickly, then begins again in a lower, ominous pitch. Music filled with metal scratching and ringing begins to play, and the sound of the scratch acts as a signal to Asakawa to check the living room, where she finds Yoichi watching the tape. The music resembles that of an army of violins being stabbed to death, truly dramatizing the horror of Yoichi watching the video. The final conversation with Yoichi and Asakawa is filled with eerie music, as Yoichi says he was told to watch the movie by Tomoko. Ringu does an incredible job of setting the tone through music, amplifying the nuances of the supernatural elements of the movie and creating suspense. The Ring, however, stays grounded in reality with its use of sound, only using sound to indicate one supernatural event, when Samara grabs her arm. Though the film is obviously fictional, it is important to recognize the sound choices that do not reinforce the conventions of horror, but rather just to create suspense. After she wakes up, there's an ominous music combined with a high-pitched frequency. While the high-pitched frequency is conventionally a supernatural sound effect, it isn't combined with an accompanying visual and feels out of place and doesn't add the eerie effect of Yoichi's laugh. Instead of using music to consistently reflect horror conventions, The Ring deviates from this use of sound in order to establish an emotional connection between both the characters and the audience. Slow and dramatic music begins to play when she confronts her child about watching the tape. The intensity of her voice and facial expressions don't necessarily match with the music. However, the contrasting tones allow the audience to understand the deep love that she has for her son and the devastating effect that this event had on her. The dramatic music is used to reflect the feeling of loss that is implied when she realizes her son is going to die. Both of these movies have a very unique application of sound, but are also famous for using colored lighting to enforce a tone in their movies. As shown in the scene, The Ring uses green lighting to create a sickly and off-putting tone, which is reinforced by her son's unsettling inquiry about the girl from the tape. Ringu, however, uses blue lighting to enforce the emotions of Asakawa as she faces the possibility of losing her son. The lighting contrasts her son's creepy statement about Tomoko and actually reinforces the horror conventions in the movie. While I believe both films have a very intentional use of sound and lighting to reinforce the tone of each scene, Ringu stayed true to the horror movie it set out to be. The Ring's unnecessary use of sound, as well as almost a complete absence of it in most of the scene, didn't give the same feeling of suspense, and ultimately made it fall short of Ringu.